Hello, and welcome to Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence, where we dive deep into the realms of the people, programs, and culture that make up Cura Hospitality. And I'm your host, Michael Williams. As we just celebrated International Chef's Day, we have two truly special guests that I would like to welcome to Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence. First, we will be speaking with Chef John Cramutola, who is our Corporate Director of Culinary for Cura Hospitality and has over 15 years of culinary leadership experience. Next, we will be speaking with Chef Yuleika Martinez, who is a classically trained pastry chef and the production manager at Baylor Scott and White Surgical Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas. Today, they are here to share their insights on all things food. So let's get started. Hello, Chef John, and welcome to Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Awesome. So why don't we start just by having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So my name is John Cramutola. I am the Director of Culinary for Cura Hospitality. I've been with the company now for about a year and a half. Prior to that, I kind of worked my way up through roles. I started out of culinary school in restaurants, did that for a while, and then I started to straddle restaurants and healthcare at the same time, working part-time in healthcare, full-time in restaurants, then eventually part-time in restaurants and full-time in healthcare, and then finally healthcare. So I did that for a few years, worked my way up through the ranks to executive chef. I did that for a while, and I decided to go to the operational route for a bit. So I was director of dining slash GM, area GM, district manager. And then this awesome opportunity popped up with Cura Hospitality for a pure culinary role. And I jumped at it, and I was fortunate enough to land the role. And, a year and a half later, I think we've made some great strides, and it's been a fantastic ride so far.
Awesome. And really some great experience that you have. But if we go back to the beginning, what sparked your interest and love for the culinary arts?
Well, I've always had a love for food. It's that was ingrained in me from childhood. I had some South Philly Italian parents and South Philly Italian grandparents, and so we were eating, some Italian food from a very, very young age. So I've always loved food. I've loved being around food. I started cooking on my own probably around 9 or 10. Like a lot of kids in the 1980s, I was a latchkey kid. So, I fended for myself from time to time, and it was nothing fancy. Generally, it was cans of corn or some scrambled eggs, but I slowly but surely got into it. And then that love carried over into, when I became an adult. And back in 2008, I had the opportunity to change careers. And so I opted to do that and went to culinary school. And it was a frightening decision because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to handle the lifestyle and if it was going to be for me or not. But the first time I heard a protein sizzle in a pan in a commercial kitchen, it it assured me. I kind of fell in love with it, and it's been a love affair with the culinary world ever since.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. And it's interesting, hearing your can of corn. I think the first thing I ever cooked was a can of green beans. And
We got
being
to start
so
somewhere.
right, you got to start somewhere, and being so proud that I used the can opener all by myself, and then I drained it and barely heated it up in a pan. But great to hear that you had a similar past.
My
But
my secret to that corn, by the way, was Old Bay seasoning.
mm,
Lots and lots of Old Bay. Maybe
okay.
too much, but it was good.
Well, you honed that later on to reduce it a little bit.
A little bit.
Um, but we talked a little bit about the past, so let's look a little bit into the future. Tell us what you think some of the hot culinary trends for 2025 will be.
Well, I think there's going to be a few things for sure. And I know one thing that kind of started this year, but I think is going to really get traction next year is mushroom enriched foods. I know that we've been focusing on a combination burger, that is both mushroom and burger and or beef. And this is something that you've seen for years and years and years in commodities in K-12 or generally elementary school up to middle school. But I think there's a push now to kind of make this more high end, and really it's just a way to focus on sustainability. The other thing is, it can actually make the burger just a little bit healthier. Mushrooms can boost energy, improve gut health. There's a lot of things that mushrooms can help with, and of course the burger is just one example. I think also. Zero waste cooking. While that has been a trend for years now, I think that's also something else that is picking up additional traction. And the goal is, for a long time has to been to minimize waste, but now we're starting to get into this place where how do we get rid of almost all of our waste, right? How can we repurpose the scraps that we use, even those items that we wouldn't think to use, things like carrot, peels or, leftover pieces of the onion and so forth. It's just those kind of things, how do we repurpose them? How do we reuse them? And how can we, make a great dish out of that? I think that's something that's going to, be big and just get bigger and bigger. I think AI is another thing that is really, it's on the cusp of becoming um, practical in our world. More and more, you're seeing menus designed through AI. You're seeing recipes designed through AI. And in the beginning, when AI came out, I would say that it was something to be avoided. But as it's getting more and more intelligent, and as it's doing what it's supposed to do, which is learn as it goes. It's becoming a tool that is, I think, a lot of our chefs, and certainly now and into the future, are going to be using. So that's a few pieces we're going to see in the upcoming year.
Awesome. And, it's funny hearing you talk about the mushrooms. I was recently talking to someone who was drinking mushroom tea or coffee, as they called it. And, it, you know, definitely think
That's
we're going to see more things like that popping up.
Absolutely. So my wife, she drinks every day. She has mushroom coffee that she prepares for her morning coffee, and she swears by it. She's been doing it for the past couple years, and it's just you're just going to see more and more of that. There's a lot of health benefits behind it, and you'd be surprised. It tastes like coffee. It does not taste like mushrooms.
Hmm. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. We did talk a little bit about, your past and how you became involved in culinary arts, but can you tell us about that one moment, like the most memorable food moment you had, whether it was at work or with family, whatever it may be?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's not a single memory; it's multiple memories, but they all kind of combine into one, which is specifically my mother's Thanksgiving dinner. There is a flavor profile around two of the things that she does that have stuck with me my entire life and to this day. It's her stuffing, or dressing, depending upon whether or not it was in the bird, and also her sweet potatoes. And as I got older, I actually took over Thanksgiving for the family, and she handed down the recipes to me. And the stuffing, I'd like to say I got close, but it's still not quite what my mom's stuffing is. But her sweet potatoes, I've yet to duplicate. And it's funny because it's the most basic of preparation, but it's the absolute, just the feel she puts into it, that it's just hard to duplicate. But they stick with me to this day. There's certain smells that will trigger that, and it instantly takes me back to my earliest memories, which are 40 plus years ago. So I would say that that's, to this day, that's my most memorable food experience.
Awesome. And Thanksgiving's right around the corner, so you'll have another opportunity to try and get some of those flavors down.
I'm getting close. By the time I'm in my 60s, I might get there.
I have confidence that you will. But we're going to switch gears a little bit now. So we spent a
Sure.
lot talking about you and the industry. We're going to switch to your work at Cura Hospitality. And, um, I know one of the things you've been trying to do is to help continue to build and elevate the culinary culture at Cura. So can you tell me a little bit about that and how you go about developing that culture?
Absolutely. So I think being in a national role, um, and really trying to cover the entirety of the company across the country, I think it's a double-edged sword, right? So while I have the ability to affect our company on a national level, it makes it that much harder to reach our people on a personal level. And so, what we've been trying to do, from my point of view, and really through the team, is we're looking to bridge the gap by developing programs and initiatives that are meant to engage and support our people, and at the end of the day, act as an extension of our direct support. And we do that through whether it's gathering feedback or concerns from our people in the field, or it's talking with our operators. It really helps to inform our direction when we're developing and implementing these company-wide programs and initiatives.
So, are there any programs, initiatives that you want to specifically speak about?
Sure. So, a couple programs that we've already developed and are in play, and that we're very proud of, are our Cura Culinary College. This is a program that we have brought to the site level so that our folks in the field, our culinarians, our cooks, even those individuals that want to become a cook, they have the opportunity to learn while they can do the job. And I think hands-on is probably the best way. And what's great about that is it really helps to engage our people in their role, but it also helps to engage management with our people, and help them to understand the company they work with and work for. Uh, I think our Cura Fresh Standards are another program that we've put out in 2024, and we're very proud of it because it allowed us to look at our culinary standards from a higher level. I've talked about this a lot in the past, certainly when I'm giving these presentations on our Cura Fresh standards. But our previous standards, while they've always been there, have been very specific. And the problem with being very specific is sometimes that it can be exclusionary. We have an eclectic portfolio of locations, and each of our places are unique. So we really wanted to find a way to approach our standards so that they can be executable and they make sense for all of our locations, from the very large and very high budget to our more humble locations that don't have quite as large of a budget. So we just want to make sure that it spans across the entirety of the company. Something that we're currently developing, and we hope to get implemented sometime later this year, is we're looking to develop a comprehensive orientation guide for our culinarians. We do, I think, a decent job right now of bringing people into our company and bringing them into our locations, but I think we can make some strides in making them feel even more welcomed and making sure that they're equipped with the proper tools. And so this guide will help ease our new hires into their roles while engaging them and introducing our Cura people-centric culture. I think the goal of this guide is to ensure that our people are fully equipped with all the necessary tools and resources to be successful in their role. We are also developing a monthly virtual Be Well series that we're looking forward to. And finally, another big thing that we're looking forward to is we're looking to create a yearly culinary showcase for our regional and site level executive chefs and culinarians.
Awesome. It sounds like, you have a lot of things working, a lot of pans on the range, we should say. But I can't
Yeah.
wait to have you back later on next year to hear how some of the things you're working on pans out. But kind of just want to end with what else do you want to share that maybe I didn't ask that you think myself and the viewers should know?
Um, I think that as we look ahead into the upcoming year, I believe that Cura's commitment to culinary excellence and innovation, it's strong. And, it's from crafting personalized, high quality meals, that prioritize health and well being of our people that we're feeding, as well as expanding our sustainability initiatives, embracing new trends like our plant forward menus, the idea of zero waste cooking. I think that it's getting us ready to meet these evolving needs of our residents, our patients, our communities. I don't think it's just about serving food. I think it's about making a positive impact on the lives of the people that we serve each day. And I'm excited. I know my team's excited to continue the journey, and the hope is to bring even more creativity, more passion, and just more care to the table. In the next year.
Awesome. And I can't think of a better way to end than on that note. So thank you so much, Chef John, for joining us. And we'll be talking soon.
It was my pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Chef John. And now let's talk to one of our culinarians in the field. Hello, Chef Yuleika, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Very exciting for me. Uh, my name is Yuleika Martinez. My background is I'm Dominican. I'm a U.S. citizen. I was born and raised in Florida, but my heritage is from Dominican Republic. I've been a pastry chef for the past 10 years, over 10 years, and I love baking and what consists of the science of baking and what I can create from that. I've worked in many different locations, from gluten-free, vegan, raw vegan, to exclusive islands where I'm from Florida, so I used to work off the Keys in a private island for a resort, and I used to work also at a very high scale Japanese restaurant that we made everything fresh. So I love making sweets and making people happy and remembering their childhoods through uh, the experience of tasting food and sweets.
Wow, awesome. And thank you for sharing about your background. You know, it, it's amazing when you think about pastries and vegan and vegetarian and gluten free. So, how did you start in, pastry arts and especially some of those more restrictive pastries?
Well, it's funny because I'm the only one that bakes in my family to that extent. So I started with experiment, with the little cake boxes and stuff like that. And then I started taking community classes, and I was like, oh, wow, I can do this. And I got really, really passionate about finding out what is that creates these different flavors, different ingredients. How does the baking process work? And it just opened this whole new world to me where it made me change my career, and I went back to school and I got my degree and learned all about this exciting world about ingredients and how do they react in the oven, and why are we so related to loving the sweets and loving that brings memories back to us. And it's like when we're little kids, oh, I used to eat this chocolate cake, and what is that, and what's the history of the sweets in our societies.
Awesome. So, I'm always so intrigued about baking and pastries. So, can you tell me about, kind of your most memorable moment? You talked about the breads and some of the different things, but if there was like that one memory you have, what would that be?
In the baking and pastry, or in general of foods?
Either one.
Either one. Or can I give you two? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All
Sure.
right.
I would love that.
So the first experience that I can like remember, memory, it comes to me is cooking with my grandma. My grandma inspired me to cook, and it's funny because in today's world, you go out in the supermarket and you just get ingredients. So when I used to live with my grandma in Dominican Republic, we used to get guavas. Guavas. I don't know if you know what guavas are, but we had two big, huge trees in the back, and my uncle and my brother used to climb them and take the fruit, and we would peel them, cut them, and make those into sweets and like ice cream. And we had like little bars, what we call now pedophores, homemade pedophores out of ingredients that you just get from the back of your yard. And another experience that, which I think why I'm so passionate about cooking and cooking from scratch is my thing, is that we had these legumes. It's really hard to explain in English, but in Spanish they're called guandules. And guandules are like peat pods. They're like a pod that look in peas. And it's so awesome because my it's one of my favorite dishes, and I can remember going back where we had the farmer that will come to the city in their pickup truck and have bullhorns and saying, "This is what I'm selling." And my grandma used to buy 2 buckets of those type of peas, and for me it was exciting. I loved it because one, it was my favorite dish, but it was one that got me to have time with my grandma. And we would sit back in rocking chairs with lemonades in the afternoon and just peel them for the next day. So that process of using fresh ingredients for me is something that my grandma instilled in me, and then that I can remember vividly living that, and then tasting the food the next day and how it took from point A to point B to get that, and all the love and passion that was put into it. It's exciting for me, and that's one of my memories that I can have to share with you.
Awesome, and thank you for sharing. When you talk about farm to table, I guess it doesn't get much closer to that than when you have the tree right outside. So, what a great experience.
Yes, it is.
If I were to ask you, about food trends, how do you, stay on top of food trends when they're changing so quickly?
Oh, yeah, they do change a lot. I am a big book reader. So I do go to the library, I go to Barnes and Nobles and try to find what's the latest um trendy book in that's going on in food culture. I'm big on flavor and spices and how can I use that in both worlds, like savory and sweets. But I also use my social media. Social media is right on my phone, and I follow a lot of European chefs from all over the world, and people that just work with different the same ingredient in different ways. I even like take courses online to keep up with all those trends that are moving forward.
Wow, that seems like you're busy.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I am.
So, we spoke earlier today and had Chef John Cramutola on, and he was telling us about the Cura Fresh standards. I was wondering how you're using these or plan to use these in your site.
Oh, we definitely use these in our sites. One of the things that I love about our fresh culinary standard is I can tell you our kitchen is 95% from scratch. And when I say 95%, it's because some things you just have to buy packaged in today's culture, but we highly believe in having freshest of the fresh. For example, today I have had one of my employees, we made uh, apple pie filling from scratch. So we peeled a case of of apples. We made the filling on site with all natural ingredients, no preservative, and that's what our customers are getting from us. And we believe in that, and we use all our stuff and try to have minimal waste in our kitchen. And I try to educate, and educate actually our employees on how to use a knife, why are we using this ingredients, and why uh, are the process that we have to take to create food for the experience of our customers.
Awesome. And it's great to hear that you're really taking those standards and making them your own and putting them to good use. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask anything else you wanted to share with us, either about you personally or professionally, that you just feel that our audience should hear.
Well, what I would love to share is that I love sharing, talking about food, and I want people to get excited about cooking, coming to the kitchen. I know it's a lot intimidating um, for people sometimes, but I always say if you fail one time, always try again. Never give up. Always have ability to say, okay, I'm gonna try this. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. And even as a professional, sometimes I try recipes and it's like, well, this is not working. This is not working for me. But I find always I never give up, and it's something that it was instilled in me since a young child. So it's like I think it said you finding the fifth leg to the cat is a saying in Spanish, which is really funny. It doesn't translate to English, but yeah, I always try to find some way or somehow to incorporate um, food and work with food, and it's a real passion for me. I love cooking, love cooking, and I actually love feeding other people the most.
Well, and thank you for sharing that. I can say, one of the things I'm trying to teach my kids are that it's all right to fail, and it's not truly a failure if you learn from it and change going forward. It's when we keep making the same mistakes over and over again that, those are really, the failures, because we're not learning from it. So it seems like we have a lot of the same philosophies, because I also like feeding people more than feeding myself. And I have to say it was really great getting to know you today, and thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure. Had fun here discussing about food anytime, Michael. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Chef. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence. And a big thank you to Chef Cramutola and Chef Martinez for joining us today and sharing their expertise. We hope you found our discussion on today's topic insightful and engaging.
Since 1999, Cura has specialized in serving life plan communities, behavioral health, and acute care facilities. Cura creates dining service programs specific to each client's needs, taking the worry of guest safety and satisfaction, employee development, and operational and fiscal challenges off our clients' plates. As our clients' needs evolve, so do we. We are a company of experienced dining service professionals that is part of Elior North America. Together, we are small enough to care and big enough to make a difference. Thank you for listening to Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence, and we hope you will visit us at curahospitality.com to learn more about how we nurture well-being with every meal we serve.